Hey guys, welcome to another live stream. My name is Alex and thank you for being here with me. In today's live stream, we are going to design a fashion website in Adobe XD. And before we get started, make sure to check out the links in the description, and they are there for the practice file if you want to follow along this tutorial. I'm going to get to it in just a second. But before I do, hey everybody in the chat, hi Muhammad, hi everybody who is watching me on Behance as well. And sorry if I don't respond to you on Behance because I'm using Restream for streaming. I just figured out that the comments which I'm sending directly from Restream to all of the channels which I'm streaming to are not going over to Behance. So sorry if I miss a comment or two, but I will try to get to you and to respond. Once again, hi everybody in the chat. And if you want to get the courses, I'm creating the digital design products and all of the practice files from my YouTube tutorials as well as my live streams. Make sure to head on over to alexondesign.co to get them. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you're not, head on over to YouTube, which is Alex on Design, and subscribe there. Make sure to follow me on Behance. I'm as Web Donut over there, which is sort of my business page. And because we're designing a website today, make sure to check my Inception design system, which is the biggest design system for Adobe XD of its kind ever created, and you can check it out on inceptiondesignsystem.co, and simply you can head on over to alexondesign.co if you want to check out all of the resources which I just mentioned. Once again, hey everybody in the chat, and let me quickly fire up the prototype for Adobe XD and let me show you what we are going to be creating today so you can get a better understanding as to what we are going to be creating. So here it is, in Adobe XD. This is the design which we are going to be creating. It's for the fashion website, and basically what I try to achieve right here is something like these are the collections, and you can check out the collections and the overall look and what the collections actually are on this page. And when you click on particular collection, it will show you items from that collection on the next page. Ideally, we will have additional pages after that when we can actually explore items from the collection, let's say the shirt or the skirt or the purse or the shoes or whatever, and we can actually buy those items. But for this particular live stream, I'm just going to focus on these two pages. So this page, which is going to show you all the collections that this website has, and then on the next page, we're actually going to explore items in the particular collection. The idea behind this live stream was to use videos as much as possible on hover and on the click. You're going to see that in just a second when we get to it in our design. But basically, let me show you what we are going to be doing today. So here we have just a simple hover button. You can see how it works. Basically, it just changes the color on hover. Then when I hover right here over this card, you can see that the video is going to start playing. I can click on it to switch to this collection, and you can see that the text is going to update right here. Then when I hover on this one, it's going to start playing. I can click, it's going to transition to me there, and you can see that the hover still works. And then if I want to go back to my first one, I can hover and then click, go back to the first one, and when I hit explore now, it's going to take me to this page and the video is going to start playing immediately. And here I can explore all of those items from the collection as I mentioned. So you can see that we have her green shirt right here, we have this dress, we have this green purse, and of course we have these shoes. If I want to go back, I can simply click right here and it's going to take me back and I can explore all of the collections once again. So that's what we are going to be creating today, and this is that practice file which I mentioned, and you can get the practice file. Link is going to be in the description below. But before we move on any further, I want to take a look at the collection from Envato Elements, and I want to show you the items and where I got these items and how I use these items. And if you want to use these items as well, you will have to license them because these are the premium items and you can use them in this practice file just for the learning purposes. So if you want to use them in your portfolio, if you want to use them in your client work or whatever else where you're going to actually get some money from it, then you have to license them because that's the license deal. So here is the collection on Envato Elements. So you can see it's super simple. and it's super clean to see. So here we just have this simple logo. You can download and use it. Here we have this fashion model, and she is walking down to this particular position and then showing off the entire collection. Then we have this video, which we used in the first and second slide. We have this video, which is for the first slide, and then finally we have also this video, which is also used for the first slide. So just pay attention to this video because it's really important. If I slide this over and if I open up the Photoshop, here is that video, because this particular collection does not have images as well. So if I slide it over once again to show you, here it is. So we just have videos here. Sometimes you're going to find this difficult. You're going to see awesome videos from the collection, but no images, and you still have to use these images, and you still have to search for these images because you need to use them in your design. So in this particular case, you have to be a bit creative, and you have to sort of understand how to work with videos as well as images. So as I said, this video we are not going to use directly, but we're going to use images from it. So if I lower this down, here I am in Adobe Photoshop, and I simply open that video up, which I just show you. So this one right here, let me slide this over, and I opened it up in Photoshop, and it just showed me this timeline. I can simply now scrub through this timeline like so, and when I see the still which I want to use, but just pay attention to the still which she is showing. So in this particular case, if I show you like this, I want to make sure that the image is not blurred when I actually stop it right here, because I want to sample it and I want to use items from this particular image. So this particular frame is not blurred, and you can of course go ahead and slide through if you are not happy with it, and perhaps find some other frame, like let's say, I don't know, maybe this one for the shirt or for the skirt. And I simply took, I think, let's check it out, it's somewhere right here. When she turns around, somewhere around here, I took, I think, this slide for her purse, because I want to use the purse as part of that collection. So how can you actually use these as images? It's actually super simple. So when you are at this particular frame, you can simply hit File, Export, Quick Export as PNG. Then you can simply select where do you want this to be exported. In my case, I just wanted to export it to a particular folder, and because I want these 4 items, so I want her shirt, skirt, purse and shoes to be in this collection, because that's what she's showing in this video. I simply find the frames which I like. For example, let's go to roughly around, I don't know, somewhere around here. You can export this as shoes or maybe as skirt or whatever, because it doesn't really matter. We are going to cut her out anyways. Just what matters is to export these as images. And then if I close this and go back to XD, you can see all of these right here. So if I drag and drop this, let me first hide my layout. So let's see, shoes image, just drag and drop it inside like so, double click inside. You can see that this is what I was talking about. So if I unzoom just a little bit, you can see this is the part of the video which I was just showing you, but I just cropped inside to show the shoes. And of course, it's exactly the same story with all of these. So let me quickly jump in and show you. Double click, you can see it's the purse. I just simply slided the image down in the center to position the purse as the item of interest. So let me get rid of these and let's get started. So once again, if you want, you can get this practice file if you want to follow along. If not, then simply make yourself comfortable and let's get started. So we are already 12 minutes in, so I will not raffle any longer. So what we're going to do right here is get started with that logo. So let's drag and drop it inside really quickly. And I'm going to position it right around here. Make sure to nudge it up to the top. And then we're going to start with our navigation. So let me hit T and type in collections. Like so. And we're going to use 18 regular for this one, I think. That's fine. And these are Poppins and Playfair display. And to my knowledge, I think that both of these are free Google fonts and Adobe fonts. If not, you can download both from Adobe fonts or if the Poppins is available on Google Font, then you can find it there as well. So let's go back to it, and I'm going to switch to my layers panel, hit Ctrl G to group this, and I'm going to call this nav items. You can call it however you want. I'm going to come right here to the stack, fire up my stack, and before I move on any further, I'm going to make sure that these two are centered like so. And then I'm going to duplicate this. Let's see, Ctrl D, I'm going to write in locations. Like so, Ctrl D, returns. Because this is a fashion website, they need to have these inside environment. Something like that. And because they want to show you how they are protecting the environment in using these materials for their clothes. Finally, contacts. And let's see what we can do right here. Perhaps we can put because if I select my artboard, come right here, you can see that the gutter width is 60. So if I select and enter the 60 for that value, it's going to spread them apart really nicely. So let's go back to it one more time, and I'm going to include that logo. So come right here, and sorry, not the logo, but the icon rather for the bag. Select them all, make sure they are centered, Ctrl G, and put them in a group, call this group nav, like so. And then I'm going to jump inside, reorganize these just a touch. If you ever watch my videos or streams, you know I like to be as organized as possible. So let's slide this over right here. And let's see, we can simply distribute, so you can select all of these and hit right here, which is going to place all of your navigational items in the center like so. And finally, what we can do is perhaps position this a bit better to the top, so maybe we can snap it right here, shift bottom arrow 1 2 3 4 to make sure that we are 40 pixels from the top. And of course we can hit a quick preview just to see how it looks like right away. So next, what we're going to do is create that back to collections. So right here we have our arrow. So I'm going to drag and drop it inside, snap it right around here, somewhere around here, and make sure that this arrow is at the bottom. There we go. I'm going to hit D, type in back to collections. There we go. And let's see what we can use. Maybe we can use a regular as well, because I think this bold is too bold. So go with the regular and hit V, make sure to select both of them, place them in the center, Ctrl G to group them. And I'm going to call this back to collection. Like so, I'm going to put them in a stack, make sure this is, let's say 24. I think that's going to work just fine. And let's say maybe 80 for now. And let's see where this takes us a bit later on. So now what I'm going to do is actually start with the text. So I'm going to position my text right around here. So let's hit T once again and type in Paris. Here, something like that. And all of these are made up, by the way. So if you want, you can put whatever you want inside. I'm going to use this 64 bold for Playfair display. And let's see, maybe 6 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, somewhere around there. Or maybe even 5. Let's bring it right here. Ctrl D to duplicate it. And for this second one, I'm going to use 18 regular ones again. And let's see, for the distance, maybe go with 40, roughly around here. Then I'm going to hit to expand it to box, roughly around here. And you can simply click right here to use the fixed size, which is going to basically reorganize this to position it to be a fixed size. I'm going to jump in and copy and paste this text, and you can pause the video later, or you can watch and type in all of these if you want to, but I'm actually going to position it like this so I can quickly expand this text and I can quickly collapse it like so. So this is this option, which is going to adjust it by auto height, and you can play around with these settings as much as you want basically and see whichever one works for you. Hi Usman, nice to see you here and welcome to this live stream, and thank you to everybody who is watching as well. So let's create a quick button. I'm going to position it right here. Let's call it btn/bg for button bg, and organize these just a tad better. I'm going to also Control D on this one, position it here and say explore it now. But instead of this text, I'm going to use this one, which is auto width. And let's see for the button what we can use. Maybe we can use 64 for the height. And 366 is going to be fine, so it takes up 3 columns. Let me group it like this, Control G, and call this, let's say, Explore, BTN, for Explore button. And let's see, for the default state for our button, what we are going to do is actually take the white color, which is right here, for the bottom background, and I'm going to lower it down to something like 20%, like this. And then I'm going to take on the border as well and lower it down to 40%, like this. There we go. And now what I can do is hit Control K to turn this into a component and simply add a hover state. There we go. And for the hover state, what I'm going to do is turn those values back in. So let's see, for the white color, select it, click right here. What I can do is bring it all the way to, let's say, not 100, but 80% maybe. There we go. And finally, for the border, let's go and do the same, but let's now just go to 60%. You're not going to see any major changes as of yet, but you're going to see them in just a second. So let's see, we have 52, let's go with 40 right here. Let's go back to the default state. There we go. And I can group them quite easily by hitting Control G, and I call this text 1, because we're going to have 3 different texts for 3 different collections. So what I can do at this stage is hit Control D, call this text 2, and then simply see where my main component is. Here it is, because it positioned it down. So let's go actually with text 1, and this is going to be text 2, because here we have our secondary state, i.e. the instance of the component, because this is the main component and this is the instance of that component because I duplicated it. So if I hit Control D one more time, this is going to be text number 3. There we go. So I can hide 3 and 1 and focus on the 2. So the 2 is going to say something like Milan. Let me actually copy and paste this text. So it's basically exactly the same. It just says instead of spring collection, it's going to say fall winter collection, just to differentiate it a touch. And then finally for the text number 3, let me locate it. It's going to be called basic comfort. There we go. And it's going to reflect exactly the same, so you can see fresh new basic comfort. I just put that in just to differentiate it slightly a little bit. I have some issues with my lights, so if at any point you see that the lights went out for some reason, you just know that it is that. So here we have our texts, and I'm going to make sure to move them at exactly the same position a bit later. But before I do, let's go ahead and focus on the images and on video, and let's see where that takes us. So for that video, we're going to have collections down at the bottom. As you remember, those 3 collections with the videos hovering as well. But before that, I want to drag in these images. So here in the assets panel, you can see that we have these videos, but we also have these images. So I'm going to drag video image number 1, which is our first and main image. I'm going to slide it to here and then to here. Make sure to jump into my layers panel and position it all the way to the back like this. And then I'm going to make sure to actually move this a touch, roughly around here, so it aligns with this edge, so it's not perfectly centered, just because we can then accommodate this model, or even better, we can maybe move it to something like this, so that we can further be sure that it's going to accommodate this. And now if you hit Control Enter to preview this, you can see how this hover effect looks. And of course this text is a bit off to the top, but we're going to fix that later. Before we move on any further, let's hide back to collections. So hit 0 2 times just to hide it, and you cannot see it right here. And let's now focus on the video 2 and 3. So I'm going to actually click on this one and hide it for now. like so. Then I'm going to drag in video to image, and that's why I label them like so that you know that it's the video to image. I'm going to snap it right here, and we're going to get to it in just a second. And video 3, once again, same story. And I just went in Photoshop and simply expanded this a little bit, just so that we have that space positioned as it should. So if I click on my artboard name and hide the layout for a second, and click on the first one. When I lower down the opacity, the whole point here is to make sure that the models are approximately the same size. It doesn't really matter if you position them a bit higher or lower. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that all of these are organized well. So video 1 goes at the top because it's the first one. Video 2 is the second one in the middle, and then 3 at the bottom because we are going to animate them like so. I'm going to hide the video number 2. Actually, no, let's just slow down the opacity and see where we are with this one. So I'm not really sure that this number 2 should go roughly to this size. So maybe I can lower it just a touch, position it right here. So you can see it roughly takes up the same height as this one. So if I bring this back like so, now we have these 3 positions. So now let's go ahead and focus on that bottom part which I mentioned, which is going to go right here, and it's going to accommodate these videos once again. So let's do that, because these are the images as I mentioned, and these are the videos right here. So you can see video 1, 2, and 3. So let's focus on that section. Let's bring our grid back once again, position it roughly around here, and let me take up the big grid, and which is going to take up 12 columns, something like this. So let's see, maybe we can create, let's call it slide BG, because these are actually going to be 3 different slides. So let's call it slide BG. And let's see, maybe I can round up this right corner. So top right, find it right here, bottom right, bottom left, top right, there we go. Maybe 5, maybe 10, let's see. There we go. I'm going to get rid of the border. And what I'm going to do is make sure it's set to white, it is, and then slide all the way down here and play around with the background blur. So the original settings, you can already see the result looking quite nicely. So the original settings were 32, and then 0, and then 32. Like so. So if we hit Control Enter to preview, you can see that we get this sort of frosted glass effect on it. And because this corner has been rounded up, because it's going to take up the text, it is going to add just that additional preview to it. And if you want, you can hide this one and then hit Control Enter once again to preview how this one is going to look like. Then hide this one, Control Enter once again, Command Enter, and there we go. You can see how this looks like. So let's go back to all of them, and now I'm going to start with all of these. So let's create the slide number 1. So I'm going to create a video background, which is going to take up, let's say, 2 columns right here, roughly around here. But before I move on any further, let's take this slide background. Let me see the height, so 230, a bit lower, like so. Snap it to the bottom, there we go. And now let's play around with this one. So because it's not rounded at any of these corners, as I said, it's going to take up 2 columns like this. There we go. And I'm going to call this video BG for video background. I'm going to get rid of the border and I'm going to leave it like that. Then let's see the text which we are going to use. Let's type in T. So same name of that collection. Like that. And I'm going to actually use this one for 32, which is just a bit smaller. Control D, duplicate it, and I'm going to use, let's say, 18 regular, I think. So let me check what I used in my original example. Actually, no, I went with 14. Oh, because we don't have the 14 because I forgot to add it, obviously. Click right here and it's going to add it to your collection. And now let's simply organize them a touch, and we can maybe position them to be, I don't know, maybe 20. something like that. So let's see, something like this, because we use 40 at the top. Yeah, 20 or 30, I don't know. Let's explore and see what works best. So double click and paste this, so you can see fresh new spring collection. This is just to give you a basic idea and a basic overview of what's happening, and then when you tap inside, actually you are going to get also additional description. For the 30, I'm not really digging it, so maybe 20. There we go. Position it in the center, and let's see for the actual distance from this to video. Let's see, maybe we can make sure position to be 40 maybe, or something like that, something like this. There we go. And now we can go ahead and duplicate these, because we're going to have 3 of them. Let's see, let's actually, yeah, let's duplicate them. Control D. Before we do, Control Z, I can actually group them, and I can call this slide 1, position it just right here, and then Control D. And I can call this one slide 2 and move it like so. And Control D one more time, and we are going to call this one slide 3. Like so. There we go. And now for all of these, I'm going to call this, if I'm able to select it at all. So let's see from here. There we go. Real. And finally, for that text, I'm going to say something like this. And then for the slide 3, basic comfort. So once again, these are just indications as to what's going to be included inside of each collection. And you can see comfy basics collection, which is basically what it said right here in the text. I just positioned it there and made it a bit nicer. So what I can do right here is to position these a bit better. So this is going to actually take up 4 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. There we go. This is going to take up 4 columns as well. You can snap it in the center right here and just make sure that you are properly organized. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Just nudge it to here. There we go. And now if I hit Control Enter, you can see that we have this basic setup included inside. What we are going to need is to drag videos inside, but we are also going to need some tap points, because we will need to create these tap points in order for us to tap, because videos are going to play on hover, as you saw in the preview, but we also have to create these tap points in order to click to transition with the backgrounds. So this main background is going to transition to the second background, to the third background, and all of that is achievable through these tap points. So how can you do that? Simply select your video background, position it on the top for all of these, because we are going to mask them in just a second when we add our videos. So I can grab all of these, close them, hit Control C, go outside, Control V, and this is going to be slide 1, tap point, something like this, and then I'm going to simply cover it right here. There we go. And I can position that inside of the slide folder, I think, like so, and simply hide it. So there is actually no need to go outside, but I actually showed you additional techniques. So slide 2, like that. I'm going to expand it until it reaches the end of the text and hide it completely. So when I drag and drop my videos in just a second, it won't cover the tap point, it will actually cover the video background, which is supposed to do after all. Control D one more time and call this slide 3 tap point. There we go. Slide it all the way to here and hide it there. And it's going to stay hidden for the entire time because it's there simply as a placeholder, because as I said, we need somewhere to hit it and to place it. All right, so we are 32 minutes into this stream already. So let's focus on the videos now. So if I select my video BG, I can actually call it video 1 BG or video 1, however you want to call it. Video 2, which is of course important if you're not sharing these as libraries. Video 3, which is awesome feature in XD. So when I come right here, I can go back from document assets and I can click and create new library, and I can actually add all of these assets to this new library, and then I can share this library with everybody on my team who's using Adobe CC products. So basically from my document assets, which are these assets which I already show you and we already worked with these, I can create a new library, call it whatever I want, and then simply share it with all people. Those people can then open that up in Adobe products such as Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, Premiere Pro, Dimension, and all of these products, and they can actually work with those. So why is this important? If for whatever reason the part of your team, let's say video editing team, wants to make any additional changes to these videos, let's say color correction or to cut them short a little bit, I'm going to show you that in just a second in XD. But even further from that, then all of these come really handy, so you don't have to export them manually. But what's important is to name them correctly, so then when you actually share them with your teammates, they're going to see, okay, so this is video 3 and video 2 and whatever else. So let's quit talking and let's get back to it. So video 1 is going to be this one. When I drag and drop it inside, you can see it didn't affect the tap point, which is why I hide it, but it affected this one. So let's actually click this one and let's actually call it video 1 like this. And when I double click inside, I want to position it roughly around here so she is actually in the center. We are going to work with these videos in just a second, but let me actually go ahead and position all of these. So select this one, select video 2, drag and drop it inside, double click and make sure that she is in the center like so. There we go, call this video 2. And now move on to the third video. Switch over to your assets panel, drag and drop it inside, double click, position it in the center, go back to here, call this video 3. There we go. So what's important now is to fix these. So these videos are actually going to start at a certain point, and they're actually going to show the certain image which I want them to show. So at this point, this video is showing this image, but I wanted to show this image. I actually have to find this image. So what you can do is when you find this image, you can actually export it like this. And this is what I actually did. So I have these 3 images right here. So this is what you see right here. So video 3, video 2, and video 1. What I actually want to do is to import them as thumbnails for this video. So what I'm talking is if I click right here, you can see that this is the video. You have these options right here. So when I click on customize video, and let me actually hide myself so you can see that a bit better. What you have right here is this icon which says thumbnail. So when I click on this thumbnail, it's going to show me additional options, and I'm going to be able to browse my desktop, which you're not going to see in this instance. And when I hit import on this image, you can see that it changed right here. So once again, this is this image right here. So what you can do is actually go ahead and drag these 3 images to your artboard, hit Ctrl E, export them as PNGs to your desktop or to whichever folder you want, and then import them using the same technique which I just showed you. So if we go back to this video and select it from our layers panel, just make sure to select the video itself and not the mask. And if I go to here to video settings, there we go, click on my thumbnail, which is going to open up the finder, select video number 2. You can see it changing right here, and then do the same thing right here. So instead of mask, select the video, click right here, click on your thumbnail. I think it's quite good already, but I think I just found it when she turns her head up slightly, which is this one, like so, and there we go. So now that we have all of these prepared, what we can do is actually design those cards which are going to go right here. So to do that, what I'm going to do is first, before anything, I'm going to hit Ctrl Enter just to preview what we created so far. And you can see we don't have any animation to our videos. Perhaps this can be adjusted slightly and pushed to the center a bit more, as well as this, but we just have this nice hover effect. So to fix this, I'm going to double click right here, and select my video and nudge it slightly to roughly around here, maybe all the way to here, but I'm going to leave it right here. And then select my video number 2, there we go, and position it just for it to be in the center. So just this part is going to be visible and this third one is fine. So as I said, I'm going to collapse these, all of them, like this, hide them, and I can even save this file, hit Ctrl S, and check up on the chat. You guys have been quiet today, so let me know what you guys are doing, what you guys are working on, and do you like this design so far? I'm curious to know. So this layout is actually going to be super simple to create for these shoes and stuff like that from this particular collection. So let's actually get started with it and let's now create it. So first things first, what I want is to position these collection items on top of all of these. So when I'm finished with them, they're going to go right here on the top, so just above my slides. And what I can actually do is group these like so and call it slides or images, videos, whatever you want to call them, doesn't really matter at this point. And what I can also do now that we have it is group these ones and I can call it text, just so that we can be a bit more organized. And then grab a rectangle tool, come right to here, hit V, select this and text, and click right here to position it in the center. And now when I hit Ctrl Enter to preview, you can see it's nicely centered like this vertically. So now we can go ahead and start on these items, and the items are actually going to be super simple to create. So we are just going to have these images, which we already have. So let's drag and drop them inside. So just make sure to position them outside so it doesn't crash with these. Let me try actually to drag all of them. There we go. So make sure to drag them like this instead of like this, because it's going to simply replace the original image with this image. So I'm going to position them a bit differently, and of course this positioning doesn't really affect your design all that much, but you can apply any kind of setting that you want. So I'm going to go with what I did originally and position the shirt on top, skirt next to it, and then purse is going to go below here, and this is going to go below here. And actually we can create it like this, but I want to show you additional method because these are components, and I think that this additional method is going to bring you even more speed and allow you to create this even more quickly. So let me actually go ahead and hide these just so that we see this a bit better, and I'm going to also hide this text. And let's see, because these are going to take up just these 4 columns, nudge it right here to the top, and I'm going to hit T right here, click, and I'm going to call it navy green shirt, like this, and let's give it 18, there we go. Control these, duplicate it, and I'm going to give it a price of, let's say, 24. There we go, and I'm going to make sure all of them are in a group. I'm going to call this shirt, position it in the stack, and let's see, for the items, maybe I can do something like 24, like this. And now that we have this set up, what I can do is put this in a group, Control G, and call it top row, like that. Make sure to include my stack and hit Control and D to duplicate it. And come right here and type in 64, which I think was the size, no, 60, sorry. So go back to 60, there we go. And now we have 60 for the distance. So instead of shirt, I'm going to call this dress. Now we have the power of these components. So simply find the dress image, drag and drop inside on top of this component, which is just going to position it on top, and simply move it outside. So it didn't really work in this case, and it works much better with the icons, but you get the point. So simply drag and drop it on top, it's going to place it in that place. And now instead of navy green shirt, maybe type in floral dress, and this is going to be, let's say, 18. But I don't like this pricing like this, so I'm going to bump it up to bold and make sure this is bold as well. There we go. And now instead of redoing this all over again, let's call it collection items and put this in a stack like this, but this direction to down, and Control D, call this bottom row. Bottom row, there we go. And what I'm actually going to do right here is to try this one. So I'm going to ungroup this component, ungroup this component, and try again. So this is going to be the purse. So try drag and dropping it inside. It doesn't work once again. So let's get rid of the shirt image and let's try to position it right here. So if you have these exported on your desktop, which I did, maybe you can drag and drop them like that. It will work that way, but like this, it doesn't really work. So let me get rid of it actually. And these are going to be the shoes. So let me find them. There we go. Like that. Make sure they are lined up properly. There we go. So these are the shoes. So off-white shoes. And the price is going to be 48. There we go. And finally, this is going to be green purse. And the price is going to be 14, for example. There we go. So now that all of it is organized, let's call this purse. And these are going to be shoes. Yes, there we go. Check the chat. Usman said you have to purchase. Yes, you have to purchase because these are the premium items. That was the whole point. And DK Juke said, where did you get those videos? Difficult to find uniform videos for free. That's the whole point. Sadly, you cannot find them for free because you have to hire a model. You have to purchase this collection for yourself. You have to dress the model. You have to invest in lighting. You have to invest in location because you can see that this is the specifically made location for this photo shoot. Then you have to pay for the model. You have to pay for the lighting experts. Let's say if you want to make a video and you're not an expert, you have to basically it's crazy how expensive these things are. So that's why you cannot find them for free and you have to pay for them. So you can play around with some free assets, but your designs are never going to be as professional as if you're using something like this, which is premium. That's why I'm giving it away to you guys for learning purposes, just so you can play around with them a little bit, but you cannot use them if you don't license them. So if I select it and put it just above my slides, as I said, so just below my text, because it is going to slide into place. And for this particular slide, I'm going to move them all the way down to here. But before I do, actually, let's group all of this so it's not going to go outside to the pasteboard. And now when I move them, it's going to be the part of the same group and the part of the same artboard. It's just going to slide a bit down. Makes huge difference when all the assets are similar. It looks nice, Alex. Thanks, man. So that was the whole point, and that's what I mentioned. And thanks, Usman. That's why I'm using these premium items, and I'm actually paying for Envato Elements yearly membership for I think like 5 or 6 years at this point, and it was really worth it. And all of my assets are either from Envato Elements or from Adobe stock as of recently, because they are really premium looking and they are really high quality. So what we're going to do right here is I'm going to actually slide these a bit. So I'm going to come right here and try to push it a bit to here. Then I'm going to try to push this one to here and then select this collection and simply move this bottom one down, which is going to in turn, actually no, let's go the other way around. I'm going to push this one and now select this and push this one. This is going to give us that sliding effect on the next artboard when all of these come into play, and that's why I'm going to show you that. So what we're going to do now is focus on this video. So let's actually bring the text back. There we go. Because this video has to have a mask, because this is the image and we actually need a video here. So how to do that? I'm going to actually, let's go and see what I call this. So let's call it fashion website. because this later is going to be our main component, actually all of these items inside. So let me actually hide the collection items from our main slide, and let me actually see what I did right here. So what you can do is select the video number 1, which is this image, use a rectangle and type in 1920 by 1080 right here. There we go. And make sure to position it right here, just above video image 1. And I'm going to call this one mask. There we go. And I'm going to hide it for just a second, because inside of that, I'm going to actually need to include this video. So drag and drop the video inside as well. There we go. And now we have to position this video in exactly the same location where this girl is. So to do that, I'm going to first lower down the opacity slightly. There we go. But actually before that, let's do that thing one more time. So if I hide it from here, just position it. So you have to have mask on top, video below it, and then video image 1 below that. So what you can do at this point is find the same frame as this frame. So actually import the image one more time as I showed you for these at the bottom. So bring up your video, come right here, click on it, import the thumbnail, which is going to show exactly the same thumbnail, which when I import in just a second, there we go, it is going to change. And you can select where you want to play it, and I'm actually going to do just that. So I'm actually going to trim the video right around, let's go into trimming here. Let me hide myself so you can see it a bit better. So you have this scissor option, which is used for trimming. So when you click right there, you can choose the point where you want your video to start. So I want to start right around here at the 3rd second, because you can see from the frame, she is twirling her hair at this frame, which is this frame, which is this same frame, and I don't care about the rest of the length. All I care is that video starts at this particular point. So click Save Trim. It is going to start at that point. And now make sure to position this video in exactly the same location as your image. So right there. There we go. And now you can fire up your mask. Select video, image, and mask, Shift Control M, Shift Command M if you want to, and this is going to be our video 1 or main video. I can call it whatever I want. It doesn't really matter. Only thing that matters is that we have this structure. Why? Because later on we are going to use this mask, and if I click and drag it, you can see it's going to hide this and actually going to show the rest of my image, which is going to all make sense in just a second. So I think we are ready at this point. Let me actually check and see if I have everything in place. I think I do. There we go. The only thing which we can do is to spice this design even more is we can actually use this back to collection, bring it back, and actually push it out to here. And then when we slide to the next page, it is going to slide back into position. So let's work with that. So now we have our fashion website, and what we can do at this point is turn this into a component. So hit Control K to turn this into a component, and all I need is 2 states. So for this first state, what we have right here is all of this. And let me actually check what I did right here. So we have this, and then we have Milan, is this second state. And what we can do is we can actually switch these, so we can put a mask on top of this text if we want to, but I'm not going to bother at this point because we are already 51 minutes in. Hi NJ, thanks for watching, and thank you guys for commenting so much and for enjoying the stream. So as I said, I'm not going to bother, but you can watch my previous live streams or videos, and then we can create a mask around this text, and then we can nudge the text up and down in relation to whichever text it is. But in this Milan component state, what I want is to hide these. So what I can do is actually hide this like so. To show video image number 2, go inside my text, hide number 1, show number 2, there we go. Nice and simple. And then finally from here, I can go and create a new state. I'm going to call it basic. And do the same thing. So here, hide video 2, it's going to show video 3. And here we have a slight issue with the contrast, but I'm not going to bother at this point. What you can do is drag a nice gradient right here from right to left. It is going to help a bit about that contrast, but still I'm not going to bother because we are already running a bit late with this stream. So here we are in the basic, and I'm going to go back to my text, hide number 2, show number 3, there we go. And now the only thing is to go back to the default state, open these up and create components from these. So slides, hit Control K to turn this into a component. Control K, there we go. And here you're going to see a weird thing that XD does, because if you want to have nested components, you have to first create this slide 1 as its own component and then bring this into a fashion website, which is this main component. In turn, it's going to show correctly, but here it's showing as component states. So if I click right here, it's going to take me outside to adjust these. So let's adjust this for all of them. Click right here, and then right here, there we go. So the only thing which we are going to do here is to create hover states for each of them. So if I click right here to add hover, and select this one, create a hover, and select this one, create a hover, there we go. Then for each of them, open up the video, which is this one, there we go. And on hover, so just make sure you are on hover, select your video. Instead of no playback, let me hide myself so you can see that a bit better. So instead of no playback, I'm going to say play automatically. There we go. And if you remember, if you click right here, go to the trim, you can see where the video starts. So it actually starts right here, but we can find that location. So 0 number 3, there we go. We can trim it right here. So it's the same as the previous one, which I showed you. So this is for the hover state. Make sure to always go back to the default state. And for these two, it doesn't really matter where they start, but I'm going to try to locate the same frame for each of them. So video number 2, click right here. Actually, it's going to go to play automatically. Just make sure you are on hover. You are. Video number 2, play automatically. There we go. Click right here and try to locate the same frame from this image. So I think it's right around here, maybe. There it is. So 004, then go to trim, locate the 004 right here. There we go. Click check. That's it. Go back to the default state and do the same for this one. Make sure you are on hover, open it up, video, play automatically, click right here, go to the trim and make sure to find this. I think it's roughly around here. So 01, click OK, there we go. And make sure to go back to default state. Now what you can do if all of this was confusing, basically what XD does is shows you all of this inside of the pasteboard, which is this gray bit in your XD document. It's going to show you that as main components, and every single time that you have to create any kind of change to your main component, you can right click what I just showed you right here. So if I go ahead and select this one, oops, so slides number 3, you can see it shows me this. So when I click this pencil icon, edit main component, it's going to create it right here. So go back, make sure you're on default state, hit delete, default state, delete, default state, delete. That's all you need to do. So if we go back to here, and hopefully this is going to work, so hit Control Enter to preview. We should go into real mode, so this works fine. So now when I hover, you should see that the video is going to start from this particular frame. So if I click hover right here, it's going to start playing that video in the background. Perhaps we should move it just a tad to the left because the original camera is moving a little bit. And now if I hover right here, you can see it starts from that particular frame, which is this particular image. And when I move my mouse outside, you can see that the video stops instantly. So this is the overall effect which we were trying to get to. And now finally, what we need is to click right here, hit Control D and call fashion website action so, because this is going to show the original collection. So what we can do at this stage is click right here, and then we can go back to collections. We can first bring that back, like so. Then all of these, we can slide them out of the way, all the way to here. You can see that's why we put the collection items on top. Then what we can do is go to that main video mask and simply mask the remainder, which we're not going to use. Something like this. Let me check. So maybe 5. Yeah. So 1 column, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to actually mask this all the way to here. So I have 5 columns left. And here I'm going to actually hide these two like this. So I have plain white background. There we go. And I'm going to actually position this text. So I can go and select my text. Make sure it's 4 columns wide to accommodate all of these cards below. And then what I can do is jump inside and hide explore button, because ideally you would click on any of these collection items and it will take you to that product page for every single collection item. So here what I'm going to do is actually bump this down to roughly around here, and I'm going to go inside and adjust it a touch, like so. And so we are in 3 rows of text like this. There we go. And now I can select my text and simply nudge it out of the way all the way to here. And you can see that because I go ahead and hidden my button, it now shows me this boundary line, which is great because now I can simply position these elements. So speaking about elements, go to your collection items and show them right here. So what we had right here was 40, I think. Yep. By holding Alt key. And here I'm simply going to select these two by holding Shift, click right here to position them, and then use these two, hold Shift, there we go. And now what I can do is go to 40 maybe, so that we have the same distance as with this one. So once again, we need to be 40 right here, like so. And now what I can do actually is maybe I can go with something a bit bigger here, maybe 60, then select these two and try to be roughly in the center. So from here we are 54, we are 62, so 57, let's see, 57, and here we are 59, so just one to the top. So if I hold my Alt key here, you can see I'm 58 and I'm 58 right here. So what that means is I'm just in the center. And here what we're going to do for this state, for this screen, is select your main video and simply play automatically like this. It's going to start from this particular page. So if I go ahead and trim it, you can see it starts from the 3rd page, which is exactly the same as my image at the background. And there we go. That's all you need to do. You can nudge this video if you want to, but for this particular stage, I'm not going to. So now comes the time for us to prototype. But before we do, I want to preview this, see how it looks. Here we have some weird effects. So let's check it out really quickly. So I'm going to actually hide my image. Actually, no, all I need to do is increase the opacity of my video. And control. There we go. You see this nice looking effect. We have our collection at the right hand side. And of course, as I said, you can simply expand this. So in the ideal case, you can click on any one of these and you can simply nudge them. But I don't really like how this looks like. I think we should have a bit more space for this video. So let's jump inside and try to fix that. Let's see where our video is. So we can move our mask all the way to here to give ourselves a bit more space. And now if I hit Control Enter one more time, see how that looks like. So we have a bit less space right here, which I really like. And you can move this a bit to be in the original state and in this state. But you can see here we have a lot of space. Her head does not interact with this back to collection, so we have space on each side, and I think it looks quite good. So now comes the time for us to prototype all of these. Let's see. So from here we will need to go to hover, and on hover we will need to go to this next screen where the video is going to start playing immediately. And for these we have to click on each of them in separate states to take us to those separate states. So let's get started with it. So what I'm going to do first of all is go ahead and switch to prototype. There we go. And right here, I'm going to go into my text 1, explore button, go to the hover, and then I'm going to click to go to this particular page. And I'm actually going to use something like auto animate. So tap auto animate, and maybe we can go with easy in out, and let's go with something like 2 seconds. How that looks like. So when I click, it's going to animate nicely, and then this is going to start playing. There we go. So immediately I'm going to click right here, drag to use the same settings. So let's test that out once again. So when I click, you can see that this is sliding into place. This is nicely playing. When I click, it's going to take us back to this original video. So here we see this weird effect happening. That's because we have to set videos for each particular state not to playing, so that we don't have this ghosting effect. So for here, I want to select my main video, click on it, and I'm going to choose no playback at all. And I'm actually going to, let's go with 100% opacity, because I don't need any opacity here. And as I said, video number 1, no playback. So now I have to go back to this artboard, main video, video 1, play automatically, and opacity 100%. So let's test it out one more time. When I click right here, it's going to transition and video is going to start playing. But when I go back, for some reason it's still playing right here. I don't want it to play, so let's try to do that one more time here. So default state, video, no playback. So I don't really understand what happened. So let's see, we are on a default state here as well. For some reason it didn't work. Let me know in chat if you paid any attention. I love XD. Figma doesn't even have video, but a lot of people are using Figma only. That's completely fine. Everybody can use whatever they want. I'm fine with it. I just like XD and I've been using it for years. But this is really doing my head in, as the British would say. So I'm not really sure what happens right here and why it keeps playing, because I set it purposely to no playback right here. So maybe what we can do is we can fake it with the video opacity, if we cannot fix it in this case. So you can see when I hit preview, it stays completely still, but then when I click right here, it's going to start playing. But when I click to go back, it continues playing. So there is a bit of a weird effect happening right here. I'm not really sure. Maybe I can come right here and set it to no opacity and try like that. See if that has any difference to it. So back to collections. There we go. So now it's going to transition back. So when I hit explore now, back to collections, it's going to show me that. So that was the solution all along. You see, you have to find these solutions from time to time. This didn't happen in my original example, but it doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do in this case is actually start prototyping these. So I'm going to select the slides. Make sure you are in the default state as I am. There we go. And let me actually hide myself so you can see all of it a bit better for now. So I'm going to go, as I said, to the default state, and I'm going to select the slides. Slide number 1, tap point. There we go. I'm going to actually bring it back But actually, no, let's go to the prototype, select it. No, it won't select it, so I have to bring it in. So once again, go back to the design, right click and edit main component. Select the slide 2, edit main component, there we go. And then select the slide 3, right click, edit main component, there we go. And what I'm going to do for each of them is increase it, but lower down the opacity. Delete it. So once again, show it, lower down the opacity, and you can see the changes happening right here in real time. Delete. And same for this one, just pay attention to here. So when I show it and then hide it, there we go, it is going to hide completely. So if I go back to here one more time, now I can go ahead and select it. So when I show it, it is going to be shown but hidden from view. And that's what's really the key for prototyping. So here, I'm not actually going to prototype it from here. So I'm going to actually click and drag this down, or actually leave it, doesn't really matter. So I'm going to select the slide 2 tap point, click on it, and we're going to use tap auto animate, choose the R port. For some reason, once again, it doesn't work. So destination R port or state. Yeah, so we have to position them outside. So there we go. You can see how many issues we have. Even though I planned this, even though I know how to do all of it, I already did it. So what I'm going to do is go back to the design. For each of them, hit Ctrl X, position them outside of each slide like this. Ctrl X, Ctrl V, there we go. Position them outside. So this is in the default state. If I switch to Milan state, you can see that the change propagated to this state as well. So it's happening in each state. And if I check it right here, you can see that the change is happening here as well. So go back to the default state, and finally collection items, slide. So slide 2 tap point, switch to prototype, click on it and tap auto animate. I'm going to go to the Milan state. So for some reason you have to put this outside of your groups. It is going to make your layer stack look a bit messy, as you can see in this case, but it doesn't really matter as long as it does the job. So Milan, and let's see, for these transitions what we can do is perhaps go with easy in out, but something a bit shorter, like 0.6 seconds, and then do the same here. So this is going to take us to basic. Then switch your main component to Milan and do the same thing. So slides, slide 1, when you tap, it is going to retain those settings. So make sure to go to the default state. And now basic comfort. So this one, click on it and go to basic. And finally switch this to basic and then do the same finally. So slides, slide 1, click right here, take you to the default state, and slide 2, take you to the Milan. So now that all of it is ready, what we can do is test it out. So Control Enter, preview how all of it looks like. So once again, when I hover right here, let me hide myself, you can see the video is playing, and when I click, it's going to transition to this state, and now you can see that the text has replaced itself. This works, but before I do, I want to go back to the default state because I left the hover here. So let's go to the text one, button, default state, and now finally let's hit preview one final time, drag this into place. Hi Samani, nice to see you here. Thank you for watching. So hover works as we mentioned, and I'm going to hover right here. Video is going to start playing. Click, it's going to transition, and the text is going to change. Once again, you can do any kind of animations with this text if you want to, but for this particular stream, as I mentioned at the start, I'm going to keep it as it is. Hover right here, it's going to start working. Click, it's going to transition, and hover works here as well because this is an instance. And finally, if I hover right here, video is going to start playing from this particular point, as I mentioned. There we go, we are here at the start. Hover, and then when I click, it's going to transition, show all of these. Video is going to start playing. And finally, as I mentioned, you can create additional pages. When you click on any one of these items, perhaps it can expand and show the entire image of the screen shirt, let's say, and then different angles of this screen shirt, sizes, colors, additional prices, checkout options, whatever for this particular item. Then you can have this same option to go back to this screen and then go back to this collection as we did right here. So there we go. That's what we created in today's live stream. I really hope you guys liked it, and I really hope you saw how sometimes I have to solve these issues myself, even though I went ahead and prepared this file, even though I tested it out, I tried it out. Sometimes these issues are going to pop from time to time and still going to happen. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching this live stream. Thank you everybody for being here with me today. So thanks Muhammad, thanks Usman, thanks Diki Jukes for joining me. Thanks NJ. And thanks, Samani. Thank you, everybody, for being here with me. Once again, if you want to get all of my courses, practice files, digital design products, everything I created, make sure to check out my membership at alexondesign.co. If you want, you can check me out on YouTube. I'm Alex on Design there. I'm also on Behance, but as my sort of business page of Web Donut. And finally, if you want to check out my design system, which is called Inception, and it is the biggest design system ever created for Adobe XD, make sure to head on over to inceptiondesignsystem.co. Thank you so much once again. Thanks, NJ. Thanks for watching. Thank you, everybody. And until next time, take care.